Without further ado, let's talk about the news surrounding J.K. Rowling. So, if you aren't in the know, I don't know anything about streaming and all that. I just know about the story. But it appears that HBO Max is going to do, I think, an hour documentary or an hour-long special to commemorate and celebrate the 20th anniversary of the release of the first film, The Sorcerer's Stone. So this special includes a cast reunion, but J.K. Rowling will not be involved with that reunion, I should say. I do believe she will be interviewed if she's not been already. I do believe her interview will be shown in this special, but she will not be with the cast. She will not be in this reunion of cast and crew. Now, the first thing someone can argue is, well, okay, that shouldn't be too controversial because it involves the cast and crew. It involves the filmmakers. It involves the producers and the artists that created the film world, the film adaptation of her books. One can argue with that, and that's kind of a legitimate point. Where I would say maybe not so. Maybe it's controversial in the way of her involvement in the past with the cast and crew. If you Google J.K. Rowling, and if you go on the images tab, you'll find many pictures. You'll find a plethora of pictures of her being with the cast, directly with the three main characters, the main cast of it all. So it's not far-fetched to say, well, yeah, of course she would be with the old cast and the old crew members and the director or the composer, you know. It would be very fitting. It would be a very natural thing for her to join this reunion. Got to remember, she started it all. And so her absence is way less plausible than her being there with the cast and crew. Or maybe it's exclusively cast members. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys have more information on that. But it's still weird that the lady who has been involved with them in past award ceremonies and all of that, you see pictures, floating around on the internet. So it's happened where she's been, directly involved with these people, directly involved with these actors and actresses. It's believable that she would also be in this reunion. I mean, not only believable, but it would make sense, because what better way to honor the person who started all with having a beautiful 20-year reunion. It's kind of like a high school reunion, after 10 years of, after you graduate and then you see everyone else. Well, yeah, it should be treated as like a high school reunion, except with the film industry, with the franchise of Harry Potter, the Harry Potter films, and honoring the person who started it all. She's the artist that started it all. So her absence in this reunion is impractical at the very least, but that's what's causing the controversy. Why isn't the woman, the writer who set in motion this very, very successful franchise, why isn't she involved? This is a very weird and dare I say disturbing thing, if you think about it. This franchise, no matter how much work is involved with the producers, the writers, the filmmakers, the merchandise marketing, no matter how much work is put into making this a very, very successful franchise and very, very popular films, that the franchise itself would not have existed without her starting with those books. She started it. She started the success of this widely successful franchise. So this franchise, that is a multi-billion-dollar franchise without a question. This franchise not accepting her into an event like this. I actually don't know if it was her choice or not. I don't think it was her choice. I can't imagine it was her choice, but I could be wrong. But in any way, not having her in this reunion, the woman who started it all, this is a really, really weird thing happening in our culture. It's like denouncing J.R.R. Tolkien. Like the Middle Earth franchise. It's not the franchise in the way of Star Wars or Harry Potter, but it's sold probably the most amount of books. And then people, making the Tolkien estate or whoever profits off of copies and royalty from films or whatever the case is, whoever has control of that property, profiting off of that and saying, well, let's renounce Tolkien. So you've made money off of his ideas. You've made money off of his writing. Why would you throw J.K. Rowling under the bus, no matter how controversial her tweets are, unless she committed a heinous crime, unless she hurt someone, unless she murdered or something? You don't throw the person under the bus because she may have offended. She may have offended, someone, but she hasn't hurt someone, and there's a difference. It's kind of like someone who would attack me or attack my home, someone who would attack my personhood for me being Christian, that's one thing. But someone who would say an anti-Christian thing like on a tweet, come on. I maybe I don't like it, but it's not controversial to me. It's not controversial to me. So those are my thoughts. It's a very weird thing where multi-billion, maybe million. I don't know if they make a lot of money now, now that the movies are over. But I can imagine it's got a pretty good asset as far as money making. To throw her under the bus just for controversial tweets, and I think it would have to do with those tweets. Again, it's speculation, but I had heard that the actors, the main three actors, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, I can't remember his last name. They went against her tweets. They had to make it public that they were not for her tweets and that they were against her. It's like, be a little more gracious, because Harry Potter, no matter if they believe it or not, Harry Potter was the thing to start their careers. I don't know if the Rupert gentleman continued acting, but Daniel Radcliffe continued acting. Emma Watson's crazy famous. She's big. She's a celebrity. She's still a celebrity. And they would not have been as famous, as well known, as successful without the Harry Potter franchise, without J.K. Rowling, who started it all. And if you don't like her tweets, just ignore it or just graciously say, I don't agree with her, but she is the woman whose works actually had my career take off. So it's a very strange thing. So that's what I wanted to talk about, is that's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. So think about it for you artists. Let's say your art was picked up. Let's say your stories were picked up and it became massively successful. Let's say your stories became massively successful to the point where it did become a very profitable, a very marketable franchise outside the movies, maybe with toys and action figures or t-shirts or whatever the case is, Christmas ornaments, anything. And then 20 years down the road, you say something they don't agree with, maybe as innocuous as, I don't care for our current president. And that would silence you, at least from the franchise's perspective, saying, we don't want you. We don't want you for the 25th anniversary of your first comic release. We prefer, you're a little controversial. So I think you should just stay home and we'll take care of it. That's the world we live in. This is the example. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. This is an attack on legacy. This is hopefully an unsuccessful attempt to remove her from her own art. As I said previously, she has such a huge readership. I don't think she will be permanently canceled. I think it's just this event. I can't imagine her being completely, defamed and shunned and ostracized. Maybe from the elites, as we see with Hollywood. And if that's important to her, I'm sorry, J.K. Rowling. I'm sorry that had to happen to you. But as far as the ordinary person just loving her books, no, I think she'll have her readership. It's just a very strange thing that the woman that started the success of so many people and had people make so much money, where they would feel just they could easily feel indignant and just say, "Go away. We don't need you." It's like, well, try saying that 20 years ago. Try saying that 20 years ago.